NAYPYITAW, Myanmar Pope Francis insisted Tuesday that Myanmar's future depends on respecting the rights of each ethnic group, an indirect show of support for Rohingya Muslims who have been subject to decades of discrimination and a recent military crackdown described by the UN as a textbook campaign of ethnic cleansing. Francis didn't cite the crackdown or even utter the contested word Rohingya in his speech to Myanmar's civilian leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, and other authorities and diplomats in the capital. But he lamented how Myanmar's people have suffered and continue to suffer from civil conflict and hostilities, and insisted that everyone who calls Myanmar home deserves to have their basic human rights and dignity guaranteed. Rohingya Muslims have faced state-supported discrimination in the predominantly Buddhist country for decades, deprived of citizenship and unable to access basic services such as adequate education and health care. In August, the army began what it called clearance operations in Rakhine State following an attack on police posts by Rohingya insurgents. The violence, looting and burning of villages has forced more than 620,000 Rohingya to flee to Bangladesh. In his most anticipated speech of his week-long trip to Myanmar and Bangladesh, Francis expressed support for SUUKYI's efforts to bring about reconciliation among different groups after decades of military dictatorship. And he insisted that religious differences in the majority Buddhist country must never be a cause for division or distrust. The future of Myanmar must be peace, a peace based on respect for the dignity and rights of each member of society, respect for each ethnic group and its identity, respect for the rule of law, and respect for a democratic order that enables each individual and every group, none excluded, to offer its legitimate contribution to the common good, he said. Francis' avoidance of the term Rohingya and his encouragement for SUUKYI's government disappointed Rohingya activists and human rights groups, who have criticized SUUKYI for what they consider a weak response to the military crackdown. SUUKYI's supporters, including the Catholic Church, say she is limited in what she can say against the military and needs more time to bring about reconciliation. The term Rohingya is shunned by many in Myanmar because the ethnic group is not a recognized minority in the country. The question of whether Francis would use the term in a show of solidarity dominated the run-up to his trip. "We thought that the Pope was going to mention the suffering of Rohingya people, but now he cannot even use the name Rohingya, and it's totally unacceptable," said Kya Naing, a 53-year-old Rohingya man who lives in a confined camp outside of Sitwe, in Rakhine State. "We are very sad that our identity cannot even be revealed." Phil Robertson, Deputy Director of Human Rights Watch's Asia Division, said he hoped the Pope would use the term during Mass on Wednesday. The Pope missed an opportunity to reinforce his previous messages that affirmed the rights of the Rohingya to self-identify and used the name that they had chosen for themselves, he said. "The Rohingya have been stripped of so many things, but their name should never be one of them."